I've done a template, so I'll just move my scoreboard out of the way for a second and I'll just talk through. I've got all these bits. These are just my pieces that I've kind of got ready. The outer sheet is basically a 5 by 10 and we've scored a 2.5 and 7.5. Or if it's easier, you can score 2.5 and then just turn it round and score 2.5 again, because it's just even scoring on both sides. On the outer card, you will be decorating the front, and that will just be, you can have a card layer if you like, it's up to you. I've done one without a card layer here, and the other one that I'll do today, I'll do with a card layer just to show you the difference. On the inside, you don't need any card layer at all because it will be too bulky then to fold up. What we're going to do is we've got two pieces, 2.25 by 4.75, and they're your panels for the front. And then on the inside, you've got a large panel, which is 4.75 by 4.75 square. And then again, you've got two additional panels, again, 2.25 by 4.75. And I know you might think actually we're covering this all up anyway because we've got the second layer that's going to be gone over, but it's actually, you can see a lot of that paper and it does look nice with that paper layer in there. And then we come to our second layer, which is the one that's got all the scoring on it. And basically we're going to score again the gatefold at 2.5 and 7.5. And then we just make a little mark at the top and the bottom of the 5-inch mark. And then using your scoreboard or a ruler and a scoring tool, you basically just pop it into your scoreboard and find, we're not going to be lining it up against any particular measurement, but we're going to anchor that 5-inch mark that we've made with the diagonal corner. Oh, let me just move up so you can see. So we're anchoring that in and bringing that diagonal in, and then we're going to score down. And then we'll do exactly the same by turning this around, and we'll anchor that 5-inch mark and we'll score down to the other diagonal. And then basically we'll turn it around and we will do exactly the same, anchor that 5-inch mark and then score down to each corner. Now I'm going to do all this with mine because I have got a completely fresh one to start, so you can watch me doing that. And then it is literally just how we fold this that will create this lovely like Turkish map fold, which is what I call it because that's what I did quite a few years ago, and that's what we called it then. So I'm calling it a Turkish map fold now. So if you wanted to look up this explosion style card, also look up Turkish map fold as well, because you'll find a whole range of different sizes and styles for making this sort of pop-up explosion style card. For mine, I'm using the Forever Greenery papers because I've kind of done a very girly sort of colors with this one, with the floral. And I just thought actually for this one, it would be nice to do something maybe a little bit more male orientated. So we're going to give this a go. So for the outside layer, I'm going to use Old Olive. So just moving all my layers. And on the outside layer, the only thing that you're going to do is going to score at 2.5. Just make sure it is 2.5. Where's my? Yeah, just making sure. So 2.5, and now I'm just going to flip it round and score at 2.5, but you could equally score at 2.5 and 7.5. Okay, and that is your outside layer, which I'm going to fold and burnish inwards. And I just find actually if you do it as 2.5 and 2.5 on either side, it tends to just meet perfectly in the middle. So that's just lovely. And then we're going to layer those, but I am conscious that some people are going to be having to go. So what I'll do is I'll do all the gluing and layering in a minute. I will do the scoring to show you now. So with the second layer, we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to score at 2.5, turn it around, score at 2.5. And then we're going to make a mark at 5. Just a little push mark is all I'm going to do at the top, and a little push mark at the bottom. So I've just got a tiny little indent just there at the top and the bottom, just so I know when I come to score. So I'm going to anchor this in my scoreboard, and I have got this 6-inch line marked out on my scoreboard with a darker pen. I just used a Sharpie because I use this for doing scoring exactly like this, where you've got something unusual that you have to score. I just use this middle, but you can pick any slot in your scoreboard, whatever you find the easiest. So I'm going to just anchor with my finger on that 5-inch mark, and I'm going to just swivel the card round so that I've got this bottom diagonal in the same trough. So I can actually come down that score line now, anchor my score, and then just carry on and go straight down to that corner. And then I'm just going to turn it around. And again, I'm going to anchor where I've made that 5-inch mark and bring that around to my diagonal corner here. So this point at the bottom. And again, I can just, got my 5-inch mark there, my diagonal corner, both in the trough, and I can just come down that line and carry on out. And that's it's easier if you can actually start in the trough and come down rather than having it way up here somewhere and trying to kind of line it up. It's just nice if you actually can get in the trough and carry it on down. So then I'm going to turn the card around, and again I've got my little 5-inch notch at the top here, and I'm just going to repeat that process. So I will turn my card around until I can get both my little mark and my diagonal corner in the trough, and then I will score down. So I'll start down and then just carry on and out. Okay, and I'll repeat exactly the same on the other side. So again, I've got my point anchored here and my diagonal point again in that trough. And then I can just start on the trough and come down. Okay, and then you should have, just hold that. It looks like a little group of different triangles. I'm just going to come back to the original. And on this you can see that we've got folds coming in different ways, because we've got, this is glued flat, and then we've got some mountain and some valley folds. So what we're going to do is on the diagonals we're going to fold them towards us. So they're making a valley fold, and then this one I'm going to fold away from me. Again, it's making a valley fold, so that they're, I'll just show you, they're coming up towards me. And then the other diagonal I'm going to fold towards me and burnish along there. Make sure you burnish these really well. And then I'm going to do the other diagonal away from me, but they are all valley folds. Okay, and then with the horizontal lines, they are going to be mountain folds away from you. So you're going to actually fold those back and around. So back and around. So I'm going to fold that back and around away from me. Okay, so I'm just going to go through that again. So with the diagonal folds, that one is going to go up, that one is going to come down. So they're valley folds. This one is going to come down, that one's going to go up. But the vertical lines are actually going to be away. So we're going to fold those back. Okay, so they're back, and all the rest are towards you. And you'll see immediately then that you've got this like all lovely shape It's like a little bowl really, because all the folds are going in the right direction. And I'm going to bring in my base. Now, I know you had lots of triangles and things, and we'll glue those all in place before I actually glue this in, but I'm just going to talk about the gluing procedures. And if you haven't already, I would say don't cut up your squares just yet. So the squares that I've got you to cut out, if you could just leave them as whole squares for now. I mean, if you've already cut them into triangles, it's fine, but I was just going to show you a little hint and tip about basically making it easier when you actually come to glue those all in place. So this card is going to be anchored, basically this large triangle, sorry, it's gone very dark there. This large triangle here is going to be glued, and also the two outer triangles, these two larger outer triangles are going to be glued. So the easiest way to do that is to basically fold this flap over. We can put our glue on this triangle, just on this triangle, and then we would fold it back, line it up perfectly with that edge, and that would be our first part of our card done. Now I'm going to glue this in place because for me it's, sorry, I'm not going to glue this because I've got to stick all the panels down first, sorry. We've got to put all our panels on our outer card. So it'll be glued on that triangle, on the large square in the middle, and then just on this other large triangle on the right hand side. And once it's all glued in place, you can see here, you'll have points that are actually anchored on the card, and then you'll have points that actually come into that fold. But it will all fold lovely and flat to post. Okay, you are going to have to do your layers on your outer layer now. So I have got a 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 piece for the middle, and then I've got 2 pieces for the outer panels, and they are 2 1/4 by 4 3/4 inches. So I'll get those glued into place. And I know, as I say, these will be slightly covered up, but it does make a huge difference having the pattern paper in that in this layer. So I'll pop that down. And as I say, you don't need any card layer underneath on this inside because it would just be far too much and you wouldn't be able to close the card properly. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one. I really need to stand up when I'm gluing my paper in place. So that's going to get glued in like that. And then that one's going to get glued in like so. Okay, and once I've done that, I can now glue this layer in place. So as I've said, I've got my base. What I'm going to do is bring in the second layer, fold this bit over, and just add glue to this largest triangle. Okay, and then I will literally just fold that back and line it up so that it is perfectly on top of my original, and then just give that a good pressing down. Okay, and that's that first layer in place. Then what I'll do is I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to glue this large triangle now, or diamond shape, sorry, this large diamond here. Okay, and then I'll bring that back over and I'll press that down. Okay, and that's got that piece in place. And then finally, we will just fold this piece over and put glue on this large triangle. And then fold that back over and make sure that it's nicely centered and covered in the right place. And once you've done that, you will have to just, reinforce, come back, fold that over and push it down, because you're really just reinforcing those creases that you've put in there. And that is all there is to that part. With the layers, the reason why I said about not cutting everything into triangles immediately is because it's a lot easier to put glue on a square than to put glue on a triangle if you're using tape. Obviously, if you're using wet glue, you can cut everything up and that's fine. But if you were using tape, which I will show you, so if I grab my double-sided sticky tape here, and I'll just talk you through the different layers that we actually have. So we have got a large square in the middle, which is obviously going in as a diamond, and that is 3 3¼ by 3 1/4. Okay, so that would, I've got my measurements here. So the center square is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that's not going to get cut up or anything. That's just going to get layered straight in. And I have kept this one a little bit plainer, like on here. I've kept it plain because I am going to just do the same thing and have a thank you die in the middle, a thank you cut out there. Now you could layer this with a piece of white card and stamp any sentiment that you want. So this could be lovely done in Christmas papers, and then just a lovely big Merry Christmas in the center here. But just, I've just done the thank you because I need loads of thank you cards. I'm going to glue this in place because I can put this one straight away. I can pop this one down. So there's no cutting of that center one. So that's just going to go straight in, nice and centered, with an even border all the way around. Just making sure. There we are. There's another 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece that I asked you to cut out, and that is these are my templates to show you. That's going to get cut in half and it's going to get glued here. So I'll just grab the one that I'm using for those outside layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep it as a square. So I'm going to keep it as a square, and I'm going to put my tape on it now. So I'll tape it up with my double-sided and just get that tape actually in place now. And then pop some tape in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I'm going to trim it with the tape on it. So by doing that, if I just turn that over and get it on the diagonal and then trim through that, now I've got 2 triangles, but they're all nicely with the tape on them. So I can just peel that tape off now and stick that down. So I've got my corners all nicely taped up, which is always the most tricky thing to do when you're doing triangles. So that's just a little hint and tip for you. But obviously if you're using wet glue, then you can cut them in half before you put any glue or anything on them. It's just, I know a lot of you use double-sided tape. So I just wanted to share that little tip on that. Get that one. And that one. Just got a little bit there that's under the tape. Oh, it's under, so it's okay. Right, I can Right. Just check which, yeah, that's, so I'm going to stand up again to do this, and you will again just center that within that space, leaving a small border all the way around. Okay, smooth those bits. And then again on the opposite side, you'll do exactly the same. I would say that this will look lovely actually with Christmassy style papers. And then just center that. Again, you're going to have a border going all the way around. Oops. Okay. And then for the other triangles here, you actually need 2 pieces of 3 by 3 inch squares, and these are going to actually get cut into quarters. So if you're going to be using tape, then it would definitely be a good idea to put the tape on now, because they're a lot smaller to be dealing with. And what I did was, if I show you, I have just used the same pattern that I've used for the middle and the outer corners. I've just kind of swapped them around so that, you know, you've got this body with the flower and this body with the flower in that style, and I'll do exactly the same here. So I'll put my spotty in these 2 and my flowers in these ones. So, or my greenery, my foliage. So again, I'll just show you, I'll put the tape in place. Just grab my trimmer, and this time you're cutting it into 4 pieces. So you're going to be cutting it in half, and then they're going to be cut in half again. I am just going to use, put it back together and do it just because it's easier, but you can just do them as individuals if that's easier for you. Okay, and then you've got 4 smaller quarters, and you will do the same with the other piece as well, so exactly the same. So only this time I'll put the tape on the opposite so that we've got, because we're having spotty on this one. We are going to put the spotty by the greenery and the greenery by the spotty. So just take that tape off, and then actually I'm going to stand anyway, aren't I, for to get my view. So that will go here. And again, you're just going to center that with a border all the way around. So you've got your little border. And then do the same on this side. And then you'll just repeat that on the opposite side, so it's all symmetrical. So then pop that down on that side. Oops, a little bit too close to the edge there. That's it. Just getting an even border there. I haven't got quite an even border going around that side, so that's that one. And then in these bits, it's going to be the greenery, the foliage that we're going to be popping in on there. So I've missed a little bit of that one. I'm just going to add a little bit of white glue to that because I have missed a little bit of that one with my tape. Okay, and then that's gonna get popped on there like so with the even border, and you can actually then use this one kind of to, you know, line up. Sorry, the light's quite bad on that lower part of the table. I'll move up there. And then just filling in these spaces with the red. Just lining that up really with that other one that's there to kind of carry that along. My paper isn't really directional, it's kind of all, it's probably not a good idea. I'd say if you're doing triangles and squares, or sorry, triangles and stuff and diamonds, to be using directional anyway. But my inside paper is directional, so I just have to make sure that I've got my card the right way for when I come to do the front. I'll just actually stick this in. I broke this whenever I was die cutting it earlier, so I'll just actually stick this. Now it is, as I say, just a case of decorating the front. So we've got 2 panels, and we're going to do a belly band as well. Now I have, as I say, I'm going to use card on this one just to show you the difference, because you can do card on the front, a card layer and then your paper layer. On this one, I've just gone straight in with the paper layer. There's a lot going on there with this paper. It's quite busy, so I didn't think that it really needed anything else. But this one, I'm gonna add an old olive card layer, just so you can see. Obviously it's going to add more thickness, although I'm not really sure you'd get away with this being a standard first class. I think it might just be a little bit too chubby to go through as a standard first class. It would probably be a large, to be fair. So I'm just going to put my card layer. So the card layer would be 4 3/4 by 2 1/4 if you were doing card, and then the paper layer on top of that would be 4 1/2 by 2. Obviously, if you're just doing your straight paper layer, it would be 4 1/4 by, sorry, 2 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm just going to pop that in. Like that. And I am just going to keep the front quite simple because there is a lot going on with this card, to be fair. So I've just used the most sort of simple pattern rather than the really busy pattern. Just lining that up. There we are. Okay, so that's my front panels done. And then I've got a belly band. Now my belly band is just a 1.5 inch in depth by the full length of the A4 card. And I won't use that all, but that's what I'm starting with. I've just trimmed a 1.5 length And what I'll do is you don't want to do this very tightly. You just want to very loosely come around the front of the card and then come over like this. And there's going to be a layer here that's going to get stuck on like that, so it doesn't matter that there's a join. You can trim it if you want, but if you're only going to put a very small circle, for example, on here, or a little square, because it doesn't have to be a fancy shape, you can actually just cut a square out and pop that on there. So I'll actually show you what that would look like. You could just have a little square like that. Okay, and that measures roughly 2.5 inches square. So that would just, and then you could just layer that with your sentiment. Okay, so sorry, back to the belly band. So I haven't glued it yet. I've just wrapped it round, and I just want to make sure that I'm going to like sort of just move it up and down the card and see if it's actually free to move. Sorry. So I'm going to just hold it and sort of see if it's going to be okay. I don't want to, as I say, I'm not wrapping these really, really tightly, because you need to be able to slip the belly band off easily, but it also needs to be able to hold the card closed. So it's a delicate balance, shall we say. But you definitely need to be able to feel movement there. So what I'll do is I shall come over and just see where I need to get a pencil. I'm just going to do a little line there, and just inside. Just going to do a little pencil mark just inside there, just so I know how far to glue. And I will just pop my wet glue on there. Up to that pencil mark point. And then bring that across loosely, bring it across. You're not doing it very tightly. And pop that down. Give that a minute to take, and then that should just pull on and off. And run it up and down a few times. So I'm just going to run it up and down a few times so that it kind of finds its place. And then I've got a layer here, but I'm just going to take the belly band off to put this layer in, because you don't want to get it stuck on your card. Because again, you only want to put the glue on this band. So let's just work out roughly. So I'll just, and you can put this on foam pads if you want. It doesn't have to be flat. It can go on foam pads, but I'm just going to do that. And then come in and center that on there with equal space, like so. And I have another layer I'm just going to pop on there. And then I don't know what sentiment I'm going to use, but I would just, maybe have a sentiment going across there, or a smaller one, depending on what I'm going to do. But as I don't know what or who this card is for at the minute, I am not going to put anything on there just yet. But obviously you can decorate this. You could add some foliage, some little maybe vellum. You could have happy birthday in there as well. And you can cover the back panel here with a piece of Whisper White card. That's it. So you'll just have, as I say, pop your sentiment in the middle. That'll just come away, and then you've got your thank you.